Afternoon, everybody. This is going to dog Mr. Trudeau until October. Thank goodness. Rachel Gilmore is tweeting, quote, Trudeau is now speaking and a handful of women are standing up with their backs turned to the Prime Minister. I counted at least 30 young women who were still standing with their backs turned. Trudeau is currently speaking about at Puglass and at Jane Philpott. On second count, there are at least 47 women with their backs turned to Prime Minister. Now the women are asking the Prime Minister questions. The first is about action to deal with Islamophobia. The women highlighted Andrew Scheer's attendance of the same event as Faith Goldie, asking what should be done about that. There was a lot of applause. Trudeau is now answering questions about Indigenous issues and reconciliation. I can see Métis sash draped across the back of one of the women standing with her back turned to the PM. Next up, a question about education and the subject of cannabis to combat misinformation. Some of the women with their backs turned have been raising their hands to ask questions, but the PM hasn't picked any of them yet. A Micmac woman, I think that's how you say that, is condemning the government, saying that it's mistreating her people. She also called for the ombudsman to address mining issues in Guatemala, saying that the case has yet to be dealt with. You cannot be a feminist if you are raping the land, she said. Hashtag Canada Polly. Trudeau thanked her for her words and her advocacy. He's now addressing the special points she raised. Talking about the difficulty in achieving consensus, he said they need to consult in a way that allows them to move forward, consulting in a way, typing too fast. He's now addressing the mining issue, saying that, quote, the world is changing and things are done differently. Consultation is necessary, as is taking criticism and acting on it, but that doesn't mean everyone will agree. Trudeau is conducting without taking any more questions. He's concluding without taking any more questions. He went 3 minutes over his allotted time as he left. Multiple women with their backs turned raised their fists. So I got some video as well. So here it is.
There are always going to be a range of perspectives we need to listen to, but ultimately diversity, as we see right here in this room, diversity only works if there is trust. And within a team, when that trust gets broken, we have to figure out how to...
He said diversity only works when there's trust. Huh. Laughable. Here's a strange clip.
I don't know.
He references both Jane Philpott and Dr. Philpott and Jody Wilson-Raybould, and he stumbles for a full 5 seconds, and it's a really awkward stumble. So anyway, we'll watch this whole clip. It's interesting. Power and Politics is tweeting, quote, nobody in here wants to... Yeah, no, we'll just watch him say it.
Nobody in here wants to have to pick who to believe between Jody Wilson-Raybould and Chrystia Freeland. Nobody wants to know that one person has to be right and another person has to be wrong between Jane Philpott or Miriam Mosef. There are always going to be a range of perspectives that we need to listen to, but ultimately diversity, as we see right here in this room, diversity only works if there is trust. And within a team, when that trust gets broken, we have to figure out how to move forward. So I appreciate the patience everyone has had while we're working through this internally. But I also know there's a lot of really big things that we need to continue to work on, and we will. I don't know.
So he's trying to spin this like, oh, we've done all this work to get better. They haven't done anything. They haven't done anything other than whisper campaigns and maligning Jody Wilson-Raybould and Dr. Philpott in the press. I don't agree with either woman and their politics, but I don't agree with Justin Trudeau using the press as his attack dogs and asking questions, having the press say things like you're damaging the party. Like, where are we? Communist Russia? It's insanity. It's crazy. Oh, here is a little interview with CTV and Rosemary Barton.
She asked the former Justice Minister about why she believes she was shuffled out of the Justice portfolio in January. Here's how that conversation unfolded.
At your testimony, you said that you believe you were shuffled because of the SNC affair. In your documents that you provided last Friday, you said that you asked the Prime Minister if that was the reason you were shuffled. Yeah. He told you no, and you chose to believe him. So which version should I believe?
I don't know how those versions are inconsistent.
Well, one says that it was because you were shuffled because of SNC, and one is that that's not what you felt, that you decided to believe the Prime Minister. So when did you
I asked,
believe him?
I I'm not able to speak, and I know that there's been lots of commentary about this, but I do respect the need to speak within a committee. Well, I'm answering the question. Maybe let me answer it. I do respect the committee and the OIC that's been there, but I don't see those two statements as inconsistent. In answer to your question, as I stated in my testimony, and that stands for itself, I don't see how those are inconsistent.
Why did you not tell Mr. Wernick that you were taping him?
I'm not going to comment any further.
But that's not an
Thanks.
answer.
Why didn't you tell Mr. Wernick you were taping him? Right. And why don't you tell the financial advisors or any of the hidden camera investigations that newspapers regularly do? Why don't you tell them that you're recording them? Yeah, because they won't act the same, right? The final story for this afternoon is Globe and Mail reporting, no regrets in SNC-Lavalin affair, Jody Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott say. Former cabinet ministers Jody Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott say they did the right thing by standing up to the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on the SNC-Lavalin affair, even though it might mean the end of their political careers. In their first live statement since Trudeau ejected them from the Liberal caucus, Wilson-Raybould and Philpott, standing side by side before the microphones on Parliament Hill, expressed the disappointment that was clearly already etched on their face. Sorry, I added clearly there. Quote, it's unfortunate that it comes to this, but we have to make difficult choices in politics, and we aren't always in control of the things that will happen to yourself when you're in politics, Philpott said. But you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and hold your head high at the end of the day. Added Wilson-Raybould, quote, if you stand up for what you believe is right and you hold strong to your principles, the truth and principles must always come first. And that's what I did, and that's what I will continue to do. Regardless of whether Trudeau or any of his aides did anything illegal in pressuring Wilson-Raybould, then Attorney General, to head off a criminal prosecution of SNC-Lavalin, his behavior was unacceptable, they agreed. To say it's good enough if something hasn't broken the law is a very, very low bar to hold, and I would hope that all politicians would say that it's important we not cross ethical boundaries, Philpott said. Both said they haven't decided whether to run again for this fall's election. Trudeau made it clear Tuesday that if they do, it won't be as Liberals. Quote, it has been a huge privilege to be a member of Parliament. I would like to think that there could be steps that I could continue in a political role somehow, but it's too early to say, Philpott said. Wilson-Raybould said she needs to think, consult with her family, and talk to her Vancouver constituents. I scroll down. Before they spoke, Trudeau acknowledged the internal strife, telling a group of young women that politics is often about reconciling opposite perspectives and differences of opinion. But about 48 of the young women of the would-be MPs taking part in the Daughters of the Vote event on the floor of the House of Commons didn't want to hear it, turning their backs on the Prime Minister as he spoke. Trudeau was addressing 338 young women who are taking part in the program, which encourages young women to get involved in politics, some of whom have already used their social media feeds to register their displeasure with the Prime Minister. Interesting. And this is not going away. He is solidifying himself as a fake feminist the more he does this. These two women are well respected, and there's no reason why they should be ejected from cabinet because Jody Wilson-Raybould recorded a phone call. Ms. Philpott gets ejected from cabinet. How dare she be associated with Jody Wilson-Raybould? And how dare Jody Wilson-Raybould break the trust of caucus? So interesting to watch. And interesting to watch the complete implosion of the Liberal Party, who pinned all their hopes and dreams on Justin Trudeau, and who is such a fake that people are now turning their backs on him when they speak, or when he speaks. Good. I hope it continues. Continue turning your backs on a fake everything, an empty suit. Check out thepeoplespartyofcanada.ca. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful day.